I wonder what DLC this game has. Whoa, $9.95 for the DLC? What sort of idiot would pay that sort of money just for an extra character? Oh wait, me. Developed by Division 2 and published by 5PB, also known as Majors, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds was released on the Xbox Live Arcade on February 27, 2013, and is a spin-off of the 2D fighting game Phantom Breaker and its revisions, Phantom Breaker Another Code and Phantom Breaker Extra. About a year and a half later, on July 30th in Europe and August the 12th in America, the game was released on Playstation Vita, which is the version of the game I'll be reviewing today. In this game you can play as one of 4 characters. There's Mikoto, who uses a sword, Waka, who uses a naginata, Itsuki, who runs around with a large hammer, and Yuzuha, who uses twin blades. Story of the game is that Waka's sister Nagi has been kidnapped by Phantom and his henchmen, and it's up to us, the player, to guide a swordswoman, a shrine maiden, a maid who believes she's an ally of justice, and a ninja through 8 stages of side-scroll and beat-em-up action similar to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. Now if introductions are out of the way, let's begin with the good. I like the flexibility in the game. Initially you start off on the first stage at level infinity with all of your skills. However, due to the boss of said level and a plot device, you regress back to level 0 and lose all of them. Never fear, by collecting the red gems throughout the levels, including the prologue stage, you can also use those to help you level up and regain your skills, as well as increase your attack, defense and speed to make later levels a little easier later on. Difficulty scaling I thought was very fair. I played the game on normal as it was the hardest difficulty available to me at the time, and while I did go back to some levels to get stronger, there were times during the game I'd only just bet the boss of the level by the skin of my teeth. Some of those levels even had me fighting 2 bosses at once or one after the other. For the most part though, enemies were always at a manageable level, and the game is quite forgiving if you happen to lose at a boss fight, starting you off just before you fight the boss. Also, if a certain requirement was met, one of the levels has a bonus stage, which I thought was pretty cool as well. The amount of characters available is refreshing as well. In addition to the 4 you start with, once you finish the game, depending on the difficulty you finish the game at, certain characters you fought against would also be playable. On top of that, there's one DLC character available that should be familiar to you if you've seen or played Steins Gate as a guest character, seeing as Steins Gate was developed by 5PB. Each of those characters have different attacks and gameplay styles, and it makes replaying the game more fun. As well as that, you can also change the colour palette of your characters if you want it to be unique, or if you are playing this game with a friend. Unfortunately, I have no friends to play this game with, so I powered through it on single player. So while these changes were nice, they couldn't change the bad. Some of these enemies I swear are very cheap, especially the bosses. One of them in particular I fought at the end of level 5 and again about halfway through level 7. This boss was surrounded by 4 minions whose job was to make sure that I would never be able to get back up. Also, the first boss of the prologue stage, M, is really good at keeping you in a corner and wailing on you. So I figured if they can do it, so can I. And at some points in the game, the enemies on screen do get a bit ridiculous too, with certain areas dominated by larger enemies, as you can see here. Level 6 is just one of those levels which double as a maze. Easy only requires you to make it through to the end. Normal and hard requires you to destroy an orb so you can progress to the second half of the level before heading towards the end. Now from what I've understood, Nightmare mode is twice as large as the normal and hard map, and requires you to destroy a second item before reaching the boss. While I do appreciate breaking the monotony of going from one side to another as with standard beat-em-ups, I feel that it's a little out of place in this game. Oh well, at least it's not like level 3 in Crescent Pale Mist, where I was getting to the point of destroying something. Well, that's everything I wanted to discuss in the bad, which leads us to the next part of the review. The ugly. where I discussed graphics. I like how the graphics in this game are portrayed as pixel art. This isn't to be confused with the fake 8-bit and 16-bit graphic games which seem to be all the rage right now. And the reason I really tend to like pixel art is because it really helps build atmosphere alongside the game's chiptune soundtrack. Also, as much as I wasn't keen on the maze-like layout of level 6, funny enough it was graphically my favourite level as the atmosphere was very well done, and the music playing in the background instead of being gloomy music presented itself as a more encouraging tune as you're on the brink of rescuing Nagi. So I felt that the music really complemented the stage and really helps set the mood when you're playing it. So I'll let you guys listen to a little bit of it as we reach the final thoughts of this review. Overall, Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds is a very fun beat 'em up, and it's a great way to spend an afternoon, whether you're playing with friends, or, well, like me, playing the game by yourself. Replay value I think is a good aspect of the game as your characters grow stronger from replaying levels, and the game executes its job as a beat 'em up very well. It's also quite reasonably priced in the PlayStation Store at $11.99 US, with the DLC character clocking in at $5.99 US. Which, in my opinion, is a much better deal than the absurd price of $23.45 for the game and $9.95 for the character that I paid for in my country. However, complaining about prices in games in different regions is going completely off topic, so getting back on track, I would give Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds a level infinity out of 10, and I do recommend picking it up if you're prepared to spend the money on playing it, DLC completely optional. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review.